The following video contains content some viewers might find disturbing. The views and opinions expressed here are not facts and are nothing more than entertainment. The views and opinions are not facts and do not represent the views and opinions of Xirtus or our channel, and do not necessarily represent or reflect the views of the guests, YouTube, Google, mainstream media, society, or civilization at large, or anybody. Viewer discretion is advised.
What's up? Big show that we're doing today. Is it an echo? Are you hearing that? Is that crazy? Yeah, I think there is.
What up?
I'm going to mute that. All right, so basically we've got this thing going on right now where I'm here in California. This was crazy. I'm so grateful to all of you guys for making it possible that we could do this a day late and a dollar short. But that you're here is beautiful. An anomaly. You're with us. Thank you for making it AnOmaly. How are you doing?
I'm good. Dude, that was the longest and most aggressive intro I've ever seen in my life.
It only gets worse from here. I appreciate that you survived it. Having said that,
I thought I took acid. I couldn't remember.
There you go. Yeah, but it's supposed to be just so that we're all on the same level, and that's really hard to do because we're all coming from clearly, like the amount of work it takes for us to come to the same place. If you ever come up with a song that you think is a better intro, I'm all about
no,
that.
Hey,
I mean
it was
memory.
bad. I just said it was long and aggressive. It's
Right,
like,
right.
You know, like,
It's definitely
LeBron
long.
James can be aggressive off the backboard, but you know, like sometimes you need that.
But I do love it when we use music from all the creatives in our community that are making truth music. And I know that's a thing that you do as well. You make a lot of truth music. You also focus on talking about the truth. What's your background? Maybe you could explain a bit about that.
So I was born and raised. I played sports growing up, and then I started smoking marijuana. I think I'd say this is a safe platform, a safe space for me to say that. You know,
This is super safe, so you can do whatever you want.
In high school, and then I just fell in love with rap and poetry and like lyrical underground rap. So that was kind of my intro. I actually had record offers when I was in my 20s, and they told me to stop rapping about politics. And I didn't even think I was rapping about politics, but now looking back on it, I was, I guess, rapping about conspiracy theories, you know? Like, so, yeah, that's kind of my background. And then 2016, I just hopped into the political arena. Things got crazy. Internet advanced, and here we are. It's 2022, and I feel old now.
That's sweet. Think Tank's David Plate's with us. David, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good.
Dude, and also ayahuasca here is our good friend William John, who did and created the greatest podcast that this is in the tradition of always record. How you been, man?
I've been fried, man. They legalized weed in Chicago about 2 years ago, something like that. And so I've been using it as medicine. But now that I've taken like a month off and I just kind of smoke occasionally, holy God, it's
dreams and stuff.
Oh, just everything is just I didn't realize how strong it was. It's
Modern weed is like you have to like build up like an immunity to it, like it's like a powerful poison or something. It's like going to the gym when you haven't gone in like 2 years and you do heavy leg day, like you're just gonna be done in.
Yeah, it's like neocortex day or something. It's so I mean, I just
Rain day.
I got to get used to like the water. You know what I mean? It's choppy as hell right now. And
yeah, but you landed in Santa Cruz and are just immediately going straight to see what we had here in terms of the ganj. So
well, I mean,
come
on, it's like when you're the Muslim and you die. What do they promise you in heaven?
77 raisins.
Sundial olive oil,
Yeah.
like a bunch of bottles of olive
So
oil.
you're gonna indulge. You're gonna indulge.
Seth, you got a new song coming out, right?
Yeah, it's actually debuting right at the end of this at 8:30 Pacific time tonight, and it's going to premiere over on my YouTube channel. Hopefully everyone from here goes over there, and the pre-order is in the chat too, so if everyone could pre-order, maybe I can even hit the holiday charts. It's an original Christmas song, so I'm super stoked.
I'm going to throw this in the description. Guys, make sure that you put this on your queue to play as soon as this episode is done so you can check out the new music that's coming out right now. Doug, what have you been up to all week?
I'm celebrating the Christmas season, working. I finished an audiobook and quickly did a job where I sounded like Winston Churchill for 2 seconds. It's good.
All right, I'll take it. I mean, the world is about to get to you're just Christmas shopping for people, right? So, like, what are you going to be? How do you go about that? How do you pick stuff that you're going to give to your friends?
That's a good question. I mean, it's tap into the year, tap into what was resonating with them. What affected them throughout the year. Maybe there was a TV show. Maybe there was a breakup. Maybe they got a new place. Maybe they moved back in with their parents. There's a lot of things that you can bounce off of. Sheets,
awareness of what they are and what they're going through.
I had it going good where I wasn't getting anyone presents and no one was getting me presents, but this year people got me presents, so now I'm gonna have to like go onto eBay and see what I can get for Xirtus because I had a way lamer gift idea than what he sent me.
Oh man, I didn't even give you a real gift yet. I was like, I gotta get you like some clothing or something. But I figured you love comic books, so I was that's a thing that would be a thing to do. Now earlier, there's a couple things that
see that. See how he did that?
Yeah,
he likes comic. Look at that. That's how you do it. That's how you Christmas.
You have to pay attention and you have to be able to distinguish people from each other. That's tough,
Dude, what is Jordan Peterson doing now? All right, this is a mockery, right? But you saw Ryan Long's video on it. It was really good. He's like, yeah, man, I'm here for the poon. All of a sudden I realized that these guys who are following me, they don't want me to just clean their room. You know what I mean? They want me to help them tame some strange.
Oh, that's funny. The other guy's Jeremiah. He's another comedian. I haven't seen this one, dude. I love Ryan Long. That guy's great. And Yeah, I gotta
What-
see this, dude.
What are your guys' thoughts on anonymity and Jordan Peterson and all that? I know a lot of people have mixed feelings on him, but what do you guys think about the whole anonymity thing?
Clean your room, Bucko.
Well, I mean, that's a very
Clean your
specific
Christmas
of
tree,
of all my problems in the world with anybody. You know what I mean? And Jordan Peterson, like he's done enough that I try to like let him slide when he's like, because he's an old man from Canada who's a community college professor, and we give him a lot of. Well, you know, I mean, we're all getting old, but I just mean to say, like, he's a dad and he's been through a lot and he's tired and he's a community college professor from Canada, you know, and like as a Californian who knew a lot of sociologist professors, we got to calm down. You know what I mean? Like.
You know,
remember when
Twitter.
Michael Landon always had a TV show on a major network? Michael Landon, he was on TV for like what?
There's a whole
25
religion
years?
around the teachings of Michael Landon.
So anyway,
So
I just think
Jordan-
that Jordan Peterson is our Michael Landon,
In
right?
a weird way, maybe.
He's
I kinda
just
get
a
that.
father figure who's sort of, instead of being on TV, he's an internet Michael Landon. And
See,
that
but
being said, I know he
he's-
has an image, but did you see Jordan Peterson on Kill Tony? Whew. He crushed, dude. He crushed.
Really? I want to talk about his whole Twitter, you know, and what's going
Right.
on with that. I mean,
He's got to
definitely-
just stay off Twitter because he's very like fragile and sensitive, and like, you know, someone called him Juden Peterstein or something, and like he like freaked out. And he's like, "You're a demon. You're a troll demon," and it's like, bro, you got to not respond to that because
Right.
it made it funny that
He
got
had a very
offended.
terrible.
Like,
He had a pathologically possessed nickname. You know, like his nickname was like Demon Spawn 69. You know, but
and then he said that someone who says LOL is like narcissistic, and it's like, bro, like, just like someone take his Twitter account away.
yeah,
It's like,
I like LOL because
always
LOL
mad
is
at
basically
LOL.
LOL is 101, right? It's basically binary code 101. You're like on, off, on. You know, again, it's basically this. We're constantly LOLing.
I don't get his beauty thing, like where he's like, "That's
Fat
not
chicks.
beautiful" or whatever.
These hoes ain't loyal.
To,
Yeah.
to each their own,
like a
man.
nice
I mean,
booty,
he
yeah.
says it so authoritatively, and it's only in the context of everything else that he says, and then like, oh, so I don't know, like self-acceptance, man. I think we need to apply it to more areas than just like obesity or whatever. I think we need to apply it to maybe your sex and.
Well,
all kinds of
Lizzo
things.
is disgusting. I mean, there's limits to everything.
I mean, well, you know, the way she played that flute, though. I mean, like, you got to get back with the Mozart magic. But okay, I wish I had my APM meme, like advanced philosophy meme, right now, which is basically just the statue of Willendorf with Jordan Peterson staring at it. And I think it's important because we kind of forget this idea that like transsexual masculine characters of modeling that we've been taught to feminize are not the feminine archetype, and that this idea of femininity actually has a lot to do with curves and. The representation of curves has to do with the ability to have
Curves,
hip
but
bearing.
not folds. You don't need folds.
Dude,
Okay.
if you go
This
into
is a
an art
goddess.
class, what do you want to draw? Do you want to draw some skeletal structure? Or do you want to draw something that's like, you know, fluid or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know. I think she looks good. I like
I think
Willendorf.
that Ryan, like, I didn't see just off the title. I think he nailed it. Where, you know, Andrew Tate is like a professional kickboxer in great shape, and like Jordan Peterson like doesn't look like he takes that great care of himself. So I
Dude,
think like,
where's
the message
Ryan
doesn't-
Law?
It doesn't come off the same when you're like, oh, you know, this is what a woman is to be beautiful, and it's like, you know, I don't know. I don't think Peterson's in like top tip shape to be saying that to women. It comes off better when Tate says it because
He's like the
a tit,
skinniest
but at
guy
least
that
he
eats
lives
only
it.
steak. He eats
I
only
keep
steak.
pulling up
Peterson,
pictures
it's
of
like,
Slavoj Zizek because Slavoj Zizek, it's funny, like he's telling them to clean his room. Have you ever seen a cleaner room than Slavoj Zizek's room?
Oh, yeah. good
Spotless, communist with clean rooms. And so it's funny because we were told, oh, you know, wash your penis. And I think this is a big problem with Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson's amazing. Don't get me wrong. And I love his daughter and I love everything he's doing. But, you know,
That's
he's getting.
fake news. You're supposed to just let it rot. Or...
That's what it feels like. He's basically saying wash your penis to a generation who never heard it before, and they're amazed. They're like, "Whoa, clean your room, like your room, clean it," and that's great, you know. But it also it's just as amazing for him because he clearly had a dirty room as well. And you can look at Jordan Peterson's past, and I'm not trying to like dig up any dirt. I love the guy, and I know he's been through a lot of things, but you know, you look into Jordan Peterson's Social Democratic Party of Canada and the what's it called? The Codex Alimentarius? Was that the one he worked on, or the Agenda 21? Agenda 21. He helped.
Yeah, he did work on Agenda 21. He seems like an agent. I mean, he could definitely be an agent.
Wasn't
Well, I
Jordan
mean-
Peterson a breadwinner for a family of like 5 for like 15 years before he got famous?
Yeah. He was a professor. He did what he had
Does
to
he
do.
have 5 kids?
I don't know if he has 5 kids. I know he has 2 at least. I'm not sure if he has 1.
5 kids.
Well, I'm just saying he was a college professor. He was a father. I think he was, paying bills on a house and shit. I don't think he was loaded as a college professor, was he?
I mean,
So
you know,
he kind of
Canadian.
had that sort of frumpy, I work 50 to 60 to 80 hours a week, kind of just, let me sneak in a beer here or there kind of body. And then all of a sudden he blew up, right? And he started taking those benzos.
I only eat meat and benzos, right?
Right. Yeah. Wasn't he in a Russian rehab for like 2 years or something?
Right.
Now he's eating meat and he's looking good. But I'm just saying that guy was living like a pretty like full and grinder kind of lifestyle, I think, for a while.
Well, he tried to sign with CAA and get a daytime TV show. He was like appearing with Dr. Oz for a while, and then he was going to have his own spin-off daytime show, and that's when he had his burnout and went to.
Did he really? Right before he got the show?
Yeah.
Yeah. He signed with
no
CAA,
shit.
so it's like it's pretty sketchy because his big push that he came out with was against the basically the trans movement with the compelled pronouns, and then to sign with CAA, who are like the ones who are firing Owen Benjamin and stuff because they're against the trans thing. So it's just kind of like, why would you come out on this crusade and then basically try to sign with the enemy just to get this $1 million deal?
Right.
He also, I don't know if he moved to America, but I know like as soon as he got here and started working with Daily Wire, he like fell for Matthew McConaughey like gun control propaganda, and it's like he's really good, like you said, at like gender stuff and cleaning your room and like the opportunity outcome like equality. All that stuff he's good on, but it's like his politics kind of suck. And, he seems like a walking contradiction all the time, where even on Twitter, if he was just doing his thing and recovering, I'd be like, yo, leave the guy alone. But he's kind of like priming himself as someone who I don't think is religious at all. He does a message to the Muslims, a message to the Christians, like, oh, the two entire religions bow down to Jordan Peterson. And then someone calls him a name and he cries on Twitter. And it's like, bro, you're like lobbying yourself to be like a prophet of like the Abrahamic faiths, and you can't even take like a joke.
But you know what? The crying thing, though, it's like people always say they're like, men need to show more emotion and be more sensitive. Like one guy does it, and it's like, fuck you. Why? I don't know, man. It's like I think he's sincere. He can fucking cry.
You see, I feel like he just seems like he's miserable on Twitter, where I want someone in his camp to tell him like, dude, you don't have to respond to everybody. And like, everyone's not always going to agree with you, but you certainly don't want to pick like the funniest comments and get mad at them. Like,
dude, Andreas called it, dude. It's technology with an old person, dude. Can you imagine if Biden actually wrote his fucking Twitter?
Right.
Like if he actually himself like wrote it, dude, you get more than Kafif, dude. You'd get some shit.
That's true.
I mean, and here's the thing, like, so, and I don't, again, like, I gotta love everybody these days because I'm close to them all, but like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, what do you guys think about this, right? Because it's, when your kids start hanging out with that one guy is the bad crap, you're worried about him, and it's not, I love them all. I love.
How tall is Jordan Peterson, by the way?
Yeah, it's like that rich dad, poor dad, but it's tall dad, small dad.
He's 8 feet tall.
Oh,
yeah, because Tim Pool said that Ben Shapiro is taller than him. So I was like, is Tim Pool like just like crazy shorter? I gotta see, like, I need to see all the famous people lined up with Owen Benjamin at one end and Tim Pool at the other end.
I'll tell you what, it is nice to feel like a giant. It is nice to feel like a giant amongst men. I'll tell you.
Yeah. I was surprised to see Giant's height, by the way. I thought he was going to be taller. But he's 6 foot. You're 6 foot, man.
I think that since he's been at Daily Wire, I feel like he's kind of just like molding into Ben Shapiro, where it's like he's hanging out with Netanyahu, giving softball interviews, crying, people don't like it, getting ratioed, crying about the ratio. So it's like, I don't know what Ben did to him. Maybe he like,
he's not educated on Orthodox Judaism in like in a serious way. And so he's kind of fronting there, and then he's got the Zionism thing. I'm always quick to distinguish, Judaism from Zionism. And, not everybody ascribes to the same political ideology that Zionism entails. And so, it has nothing to do with the Hebrew religion. So
right, but
I don't know.
What I'm saying with him, like, I don't hate him for it, but like, say he doesn't give that great of an interview, or he doesn't push back that much because he doesn't know that much, right? And then people ratio him in the comment sections and let him know that. Like, sure. Joe Rogan used to be like humble when he'd get ratio to be like, oh, I got to redo that. But now it seems like Peterson's fighting the ratio. We're like, oh, you're demons. And it's like, bro, you're not a bad person for not knowing that much or giving a softball interview. But,
right.
When there's honest, accurate criticism of where you kind of lack, he's like freaking out at it and kind of like lashing back, where I get it. Maybe he's like, set in his ways, but
Dude,
That's the
Russell
thing. When you're
Brand
set in your
fucking-
ways and you're naive, it's a dangerous combination.
Ooh.
What
Have you
about
seen the
is that
Russell Brand interview with him? That is so fucking good because it's like the way he went about that, because he just gets him to go into his religious beliefs, like where he stands on all those things, and then he like goes, okay, what are your views on capitalism, like specifically, like, and then he kind of like lets the two meet, and it's like, and it just kind of speaks for itself. So he doesn't ever really like attack him in any way. He just lets him kind of lay out where we might find contradiction. And
what religion does he say he is, Peterson?
Peterson.
He does like whole lectures on Christianity stuff, but when he's asked directly if he believes in God, he waffles on the question and won't answer it. And he's always being so careful. He's like, I want to be really careful. I mean, when you're so careful, you can't even say if you believe in God or not. Like, I get what he's doing, but then it's like you're not a leader. You're like an advisor, so he shouldn't be in a leadership role. He's like, I've got a lot of ideas, but don't ask me what to do because I don't even know if I believe I exist or I woke up this morning or anything.
Well, so like this is the thing that always bugged me. So I remember like what was it? I forget how many. It was like a long time ago, right? A couple years before 12 Rules for Life came out. What was this? One of the earlier Maps of Meaning YouTube like courses, like the first or second one he put up, and I was watching it, and I was raised Catholic, so for me, I was like, this is the gnarliest and most and at the time I wasn't impressed. This is the shallowest rebranding of Ignatian method that I've ever seen, and I've seen a few, like quadrinity processes and things like that. And the fact that he never talks about Ignatius or the Jesuits or Teilhard Chardin, and that he's using them to teach other people in a Canadian secular college class the literal spiritual exercises of Ignatius Loyola. It's a lot. It's a lot to watch a guy do this while you know what he's doing and him never bring up the names of or cite the sources. That's not what a student does, let alone a professor. And so, yeah, it makes a lot more sense to become a media person. That's what media persons do. They take credit for things, but it's just that scares me.
Isn't it
Is the
common
making
enough,
the bed? Is the making the bed thing a Saint Ignatius exercise then?
That's more content.
Isn't that directly from the Bible? Get the rod out of your own eye before you criticize the rod and the speck in your neighbors or whatever.
Good call, Seth. Good call. Wait, which one of you was born and raised? That was a thing, I think, actually. Did you say that? AnOmaly said he was born and he was raised. I have a thought on this. Have you guys heard of the Ectolife, the world's first artificial womb facility?
I did. That's creepy. Yeah.
Let's do like a pseudo walkthrough of this. We're gonna just like in the background. I'll not have sound. I'll see if I can get the subtitles on, and you just get the idea. We'll just talk about it. You've seen this idea.
That's where I was born.
No. I was saying you're the I was actually saying since you were actually born and raised, you're probably like not like this. You're like that character in the Matrix that can't be plugged in. You're like real. But
how come you don't have any holes?
Yeah, you don't have
This idea, though, that there's 30,000 at a time babies that can be gestated in these giant labs, and then they can even, the way we recycle water, they can recycle the filth. Women, when they have a baby, they excrete, persons, they excrete the waste. They don't just reconsume it and give it to the baby. But in this kind of a facility, you would just be able to take all the waste and turn it into some sort of a fermented mold yeast that can be turned back into a sugar protein in a food and glucose and fed to the baby. And doesn't that look like the Matrix? Kind of.
Yeah, of course.
How do you get a front row baby? I don't want a nosebleed baby all the way in the back. I want to be
Yeah, it's splash. You want the splash zone.
I want that premium baby.
splash zone.
Well,
Babies a year.
I mean, so like, what do you think of this though? Because this is not a joke. This is what they're about to do, and I've been seeing everybody talk about antinatalism, but more than antinatalism, the idea of artificial wombs. I mean, Twitter was rage of it a year ago when what was it? The Vasily
babies per year.
I think
Vitalik.
you should just put a Neuralink chip in their head and then call everybody xenophobes when they take your jobs in 20 years. Be like, bro, you're just hating on that baby because
It'll still be a baby when it takes your job too.
Yeah.
Well, you're not.
a grown baby just running around
You're-
delivering
you're-
Uber Eats. I'm like, damn.
They're like, don't worry, you could still be a trash man or a coal miner if you're.
See,
Like,
like
what-
I love it because it sounds like you're telling a joke, but that's literally what they're saying they want to do. That's actually what they're.
Like those babies, when they grow up, are they going to get the same treatment as like eugenics babies? Like,
Well,
you know.
what do you mean? You know, they're going to be like put into like the camps and trained
No, I mean,
to be
just
our perfect
in
soldiers?
terms of attitudes, like, I don't know, if we're gonna just entertain that you're gonna have these, you know, children that came from artificial wombs, and you're like, that show up on, well, you know, I don't know.
So this is, to me, it's interesting because, again, with the born and raised thing, so we've already been living in Gattaca, and people don't think about it a lot, but genetically modified in vitro fertilization, you get like a perfect egg as best you can, perfect sperm as best you can, you're matching up promoter sequences, and they can do pretty good stuff. So if you're looking at super rich people that in China all of a sudden have 6-foot tall children with triple digit IQs, and it wasn't, you know,
So this is just straight eugenics then, is basically what we're talking
of course.
about.
I mean, that's
Taken to the like crazy next level.
well. So where is Raelianism? I can't spell right now. Realism. He just did a whole thing talking about Raelianism, talking about, you know, how it's going to be. And again, remember Kanye and the symbol of the Raelian Church, but they talked about the future is eugenics because we'll be able to control and kill off disease this way. Right?
What did they call it that they gave Elon, the head of this organization? He's an honorary. He's not just an honorary member. It was like that was early 2022. So like basically, it seems really obvious. I'm sorry, but like, you know, Kanye did not get kicked off of Twitter for the symbol that he shared. There's no way that symbol would have gotten. It's Elon Musk's personal like trip. Like it's his religion. And when he says he's an alien, he's going to return home. He's talking about this. And then this also ties into birthright for Africa. And so that's this organization. If you look at their goings on, they're very focused on that. And you can find quotes from the head. I forget what he's called. The Railist top whatever. His name
is Rail.
Is his name Rail? See,
yeah.
This is crazy shit. I saw this symbol years ago. I used this symbol in a collage, and I looked it up. Like it was probably like 5 years ago or something. And I just was like, "What is this UFO cult? It's the world's largest UFO cult." They're very relatable to Scientology in certain ways, but they're all about like that. It's kind of the Zachariah Sitchin trip. Like it's like, you know, the Elohim is actually like aliens, and they, you know, created us in the lab, so to speak, almost what we were just talking about. So.
Yeah. Have you seen the Daft Punk movie about it? Interstellar 5555, the movie that Daft Punk made about Raelianism?
I haven't seen the movie, but
that's
I love
awesome.
that animator.
So basically, the most brilliant idea is they took like instead of a music video or two, they made a whole friggin' toy anime, and it's about this band, and they're like, "One more time, we're gonna celebrate," and then they get invaded by the Rothschilds, who come to planets at different astronomical and astrological zones, and then they erase their memories and they put them through to Earth, and then they start making these records, which they use to open portals. And this one band is like the first band in 1,000 cycles to figure it out, and then they stopped the Rothschild thing.
Sounds like a good way to get me to do something I shouldn't do. Be like, yo, you want to do this like cult thing? You're like, no, of course not. And they're like, yo, but Daft Punk's gonna be there, and you're like, oh well, dude. I mean,
that was
a banger.
That was the
you on
Burning
that,
Man
actually.
trick. You tell people that Daft Punk was going to play at the fucking trash fence.
Oh, that's right.
At like fucking 4 a.m. or whatever, and then there'll be people out there, and people would fall for it every year. They did it year after year.
Right.
But there's
like,
always
is
that
it
chance that they
album
could
gonna
fucking be
fire?
there.
Right.
If the album's fire, I might be there, but if it's like just a rehash of old stuff, then it's whatever. But
Who were you saying? William John. You were saying he was a journalist like Ike. Who was?
The guy who started Raelism is a French journalist, kind of just like David Icke was. He had, you know, a Kundalini awakening.
Right. But David Icke was Lucis Trust.
France, you know what I mean?
Dude,
so it's, woo.
If you look at David Icke's first 2 books that are pretty hard to find, they're like small publications. They're all about Lucis Trust. Like he was just like, that was his whole thing. And so that's
you guys know what Lucis Trust is? You know what he's talking about? Lucis Trust. Have you heard of that?
That's familiar. Remind me real
So
quick.
Lucis Trust, Allison Foster Bailey were these Satanists, and they're part of the Order of the Golden What is it, the Tibetan Grand Lodge or something? And they made treaties on white magic and everything, and they wrote the Great Invocation, which was the United Nations prayer that is to the basically to Lucifer, to like the known God as opposed to the unknown God and everything. They have these temples to Alice Bailey books, triangles, Google. It's a Thelema adjacent kind of group. And it is what is the United Nations.
Right, it's an offshoot of Theosophy. So Alice Bailey, who founded it, was a student of Helena Blavatsky.
Familiar.
So that's
Familiar. Yeah. Thank you. Cool.
Sure.
Cool.
All I know is that a shape can't be hateful. Like to kick Kanye off, or Ye off. Yeah, you know, it's like all these symbols and shapes, and like even people like us, we really go into like the attached meaning to like, you know, like the egg shape or a triangle shape or anything. But at the end of the day, like there's no hate shapes. Like all shapes are fair game. And the idea of like outlawing even a name or a shape, or like you have to be able to remove like the stink or the curse from something. Like it's so stupid in Germany to this day. It's illegal to name your kid Adolf. It's like, you know, it's a great name. There's been a million great dudes named Adolf.
He ruined the mustache, dude.
Yeah, and it's like
Chaplin rocked it. What was, you know? No, you can't rock that mustache ever again.
That's kind of interesting though, because Hitler.
Michael Jordan did.
His name.
Michael Jordan was like, "Screw it, I'm going Adolf." And
I've seen it.
And they put him in a Fruit of the Loom commercial with the Hitler mustache. Hitler said that he invented that mustache to fit underneath the gas masks from when he was in the war. So I don't know if Charlie Chaplin and other people wound up with it.
I have seen hipsters in Stuttgart and parts of Germany start to bring back the mustache, and I think it's interesting. There's a lot of movement that's trying to disassociate. And it almost starts with that Tom Cruise movie, The Valkyrie. Is that the right one? Where he's like trying to kill Hitler. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, it's so bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it's bad. It's a bad. I mean, it depends how you look at it. It
starts out in English and then it starts out in German and then it just changes over and it's out and then everyone just seems
so. In other words,
the movie. It's like
So in other words, it's like a perfect mind control movie, right? Because you're telling us that the Americans are the Nazis and their favorite character is freaking Tom Cruise. Yeah. And he's the best Nazi because he's trying to kill Hitler.
Okay, you always do this. You did this with freaking the prequels of Star Wars, man. I can totally, like, you changed my views because I love subtext. I love good subtext. And if you relate to a movie through a different lens, it can be very reconciling. I got you.
I mean, the two biggest points of this movie, that Tom Cruise is the hero in a Nazi film about Nazis, and that the sound, like literally I was about to say, that the back sound is in English, because you get so much of this feeling all of a sudden. It's like, this is your friend.
There was fine people on both sides of World War II.
Well, I mean, whether or not any of that's true is the thing, is that is what is being pushed now, because the differences between the Nazis and us is so slight that you have to really pick and pull what they're doing. And
there's whole continents of the world that say death to us because they just associate us with like meaningless drone attacks and murder and blowing up weddings and stuff. So like obviously, yeah, like I'm not, you know, I'm an American and they say death to America, but I'm a good guy. I have nothing to do with that. I'm sure that was like 1930s and 40s Germany were like mostly the same way.
I know that St. John Wesson, whose grandfather is an important, adjacent to the Amish minister, he's been trying to bring back the swastika and the Gamadian with only love symbols and trying to destroy. And he's doing a series right now with the Jains, like every day, making a new swastika in Costa Rica with a bunch of hippies.
Andreas, if you look at the mirror across from you, there's a little postcard on it. See on the other side, straight ahead. See the mirror?
Yeah.
See the postcard on it? It's from like 1910. It's like, I think it's 1910. Check it out. But it has.
Yeah. Hold on. Should I grab it?
Yes, you should grab it.
Okay. Be very careful. It's very old. Whoa, this is old. This is very old, guys. Be careful. Oh boy. Check this out. Let me. I'll do a zoom in on my screen so you can see this clearer. Here it says swastika, good luck, love, life, light.
Right.
It's got the even the horseshoe inverted omega.
Yes.
And it's a postcard, and it's got a whole message here.
I found that in a barn.
That's awesome.
In Idaho, actually.
Before World War II, it was Jainism,
Great
Buddhism,
potatoes.
Hinduism, right? They all used that symbol for like
1910. Right, everybody did. And so it's kind of weird. We've taken it and we made it to a symbol of hate, and everyone's
that's my point. Is like we can't let them take things that are esoteric parts of life and just and turn them into hate things. So it's like we have words you can't say, like the N word. What if the letter N becomes a hate letter, and then as you're speaking, you have to edit all the N's out of your words? You know what I mean? Like it's
probably what happened to G.
It sounds funny right now, but they would love to do that just to ruin communication and prevent people from speaking. So it's like you got hate shapes, hate words, and like if you can attach like evil to a word or a shape like that, there has to be a way to undo it and like cleanse it of that. Just so like, let's not be afraid of triangles. Like not all triangles are like the evil eye, you know, like it's okay, you know. And like there's a country out there called Niger. You have to like intentionally mispronounce it so you don't get like banned.
Well, Coca-Cola is two words, right? But those two words will never be able to be used in free speech because they're owned. And they're somehow specially encased in some sort of magic. Now, you know, when I was a kid in the 80s, bad all of a sudden meant good. And that's such a boomer example, or I don't know, Gen X example.
It's something sick. No, people don't say that as much anymore. You notice in the last 3 years, people are like, "Oh, that's sick as much."
Wash your hands.
But I think that points. Yeah.
There's an interview that I've been looking for, and I can't find it again. But I swear I've seen Cornel West and Maya Angelou discussing the N-word, and they both give like completely diametrically distinct views on it. So Cornel West is talking about reclaiming a word, and she's just like, no, that word has been used in this word. Got to be over that. And they both are right in a way. Like you hear it because where they're both coming from, and it's like that's the nature of fucking reality, is that like both things can be true at the same time. And sometimes it's like it's not really reconcilable when it comes to the duality that we're projecting on top of the polarity. You know what I mean?
I think they're both wrong if one wants to reclaim it and the other one says we can never use it again. Like, what does reclaim it mean? Like, it's just sounds.
It's just a trash dove. It's just
it's the context of Cornel West. So like Cornel West's view on like that, the use of that word in rap and whatever, hip hop, and like the kind of, you know, it's like, it's something that literally meant lesser than, and having it mean equal, and that we're together in this. It's a camaraderie thing. And then you have Maya Angelou is just like, that's an oppressive word. Fucking done with it. And like I don't like, I can see the heart in Maya Angelou. You know what I mean? Like I don't see it as like she's just, I don't know. You get
Darth Call, what's up? I'm saying hi to AnOmaly.
You know, I was called the word faggot so many times in high school that I should have the right to say it, right? But out of respect for this culture, I don't use it.
Or you could ask if you can bum one, you know?
Yeah. Or but what
depending
I'm saying
on the country, absolutely.
You guys remember the trash dove? The trash dove was this thing that, you know, it was a freaking emoji, and all of a sudden it became a hate symbol. And it was interesting because you had so many ancient symbols that became hate symbols, but then the trash dove was like all of a sudden, oh, you can't use the trash dove on Facebook because it represents hate. It's a hate crime symbol.
They called it a dog whistle, so a nod's as good as a wink to a blind bat. So it's like you got that happens all the time. There's freaking all these companies talking about logos, like they all fucking wink at each other, and they're like Kraft cheese with a K. Come on, the Kraft masonry. Come on, like it's just that stuff is so obvious. But then at the same time, it's like the people aren't supposed to do it.
I mean, if it wasn't clear that the Eye of Horus was in the trash dove, I hope it is now. But that's the thing, is like they did create the symbol, and it has like some power in the symbol. But for the most part, it's a charged symbol.
Is there really power in symbols?
I think the power in a symbol comes from us charging the symbol, and so they're literally, for instance, like there's so much hate in the N word or the F word or whatever word in a different point in history that or the swastika, that it might take 100 years or a couple of generations to discharge that symbol, so that it's inert enough that you can recharge the symbol with positivity. It might be that there's, because it is so associated with. This is the thing about magic. Like these sigils are associated with demons, with possession, with controlling your mind, with taking away your choices, with turning you into another person than yourself, right? I mean, this is literally magic, and we use it for every branding system we have.
Right. Carl used to say, "Oh, magic is inevitable. Like you can't escape magic. You're going to be, so you might as well do it consciously." Was the idea?
Yeah. It's like license plates in a movie. You got to control that shit.
Bryce St. Gray, I don't know if you guys know him. He's a rapper. He's black, but like if people call him the N-word, he just doesn't care, and it just totally sucks the power out of it. Because when you care, obviously it's like not nice, but the power comes from your reaction to it. So it's like he literally laughs at it and moves on and plays chess and makes songs. It's like water to a duck. So it's like the power. Same with all this stuff. When people get triggered, it's like. You're only giving it more power. You're only giving it your attention. And the second you ignore it is the second the people. It's like Jordan Peterson. Like if he didn't respond to all the trolls that are like joking, he's fueling that fire. It's like, dude, just ignore it. And no one cares. Real quick, same thing with the Kyrie Irving documentary. I debated this Israeli guy, and he's like, oh, it's so bad. I'm like, dude, if you ignored it, he doesn't have that big of a social media impact. Maybe 1,000 people see the documentary. Now millions of people saw it because you made such a big deal about it. So I know what you think you're doing. But it's not working. Like it doesn't. That's not the way the world works, unfortunately.
Remember Lenny Bruce's routine where he would come out and he would say the N-word, and you know what no one remembers about that routine is the K word. Lenny was Jewish, right? Right. But he would also say a word that I'm not going to say right now, out of respect for people.
No,
You
I'll
know
come
what I'm
over
saying?
there and like.
No, say it, and then we'll frame it. We'll frame it.
Hopefully
and
they're
we'll send it
respecting
to
me and my
ADL the
YouTube
World
channel.
Jewish Congress. We'll mail it to them. No, I'm just kidding.
But there's like there's the same magic of logo and branding in those words. And we went over this in the 60s, and everyone, what I think was the left, was pro Lenny Bruce, right?
Right.
And the man died because the right, the conservatives, took his ability to work away, right? And what have we been talking about for the last 3 weeks? Is somebody's right to make money, right to do what he does. They took away his ability to do that. It was the same hanging, but it was different side of the aisle.
Right.
And so this whole non-binary trip that we're on, the minute that a politician steps into the middle and declares themselves independent, automatically they're assumed to be on the other side. Something is breaking down with the power of words. It's got to be the internet.
What
It's
comedians do is the right way to go about it, like what Lenny Bruce did or what like Owen Benjamin does, and just make a mockery of not the word or the history of the word, but just a mockery of the idea that these words are so powerful. And like people are talking about, we need to reclaim the magic, and like we'll put different magic on the N word, we'll make it a really happy thing. It's like once we have enough people awake to the fact that there's just like this magic being attached to words and symbols and ideas, can we just do away with having that magic and just everyone understand that like it's the meaning and it's the intent that matters and not what shape you use or
I mean, but so I think of the Jehovah's Witness for that, and maybe Giant, you have some thoughts on this, because like Jehovah's Witness aren't allowed to have birthdays. And by the way, happy birthday to Darth Call, who's not a Jehovah's Witness. Yeah, right.
Thanks for
Yeah.
shout out.
Thursday though, also Better Call. Can't wait to see that. I know you just got some roller skates. I hope you have some little clip of that. You and his Darth Call outfit. But yeah, I mean, this idea of empowering symbols or taking away the power, like so many religions have said, hey, you have to take away your happy birthday. You have to get rid of some of these, kinds of things that are charged even with positivity, because they can get turned around and misused. Santa Claus, is that what we're pointing at?
Christians all the time telling me I have to get rid of Santa Claus. I'm like, this is why no one likes you.
with the word racist too. Like I watched, I think it was like Tim Pool and R.A. the Rugged Man when R.A. the Rugged Man got mad. But that was funny. But the debate I like both of them in different ways. For like, I agree and disagree with different stuff. But the debate turned into you're racist.
Right.
It's one of it's ad hominem at that point.
Using that word because it's a block word. And same with, I understand that a lot of people were like offended by what Ye said and thought it was inaccurate. That's fine. But the logic of like, don't talk about groups, talk about individuals. Then don't talk about Democrats. Don't say white people are an Antifa. Like everyone uses groups in order to further explain what's going on, but you don't mean everyone. But so it's like nobody follows the logic, and that's why I stopped using the word racist, because I feel like it's just a block that means like I'm morally superior than you, but I don't really have to explain it. Like I'm just better than you, and like you're bad. And like, let's move on,
and the use this like magic spells and incantations, like in PC Principle, like when they join the frat house, they have to memorize like all of the PC lingo and know exactly how to speak to be like a correctly PC person. This is very much what it's very spellcrafty. You have to know exactly the right kinds of words to use. And the most, I think even Patton Oswalt pointed this out, it's like the people that can speak the perfect way are the most dangerous ones you have to worry about. It's always someone who's less well-spoken is like, I don't really care like who you're having sex with or whatnot, but I'm okay. Let them do what they want to do. That guy's not your problem. He's going to say words that no one wants to hear, and he's going to be tolerant of it. But then there's going to be some guy who's like, well, I believe that everyone is diverse and important and equal, and yet it's probably true that the heteronormative is the priority for breeding, and that we must remove these
some are more equal than others, right?
Yeah, right. The kind of wording that they'll use is going to be...
When people say problematic, it's like that means like you're the problem. Like it's
problematic.
You're causing problems.
I mean, we talked about magic sigils and what happens when you reverse charge them, but let's think about what they did with the death rune, right? So they took the life rune, they took the death rune, they turned it into the life rune, and they replaced all the crucifixes on the graves. So in the World War II German soldiers, they had these things on them.
There's a rune that's called like Iowas that looks like that. And I was tripped out by it because I was like, wasn't that Crowley's like channeled entity from Mars
exactly
or whatever?
What it was. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the Book of the Law, 1904.
It's on my blog. I don't know. I can't. It might not be easy to find unless I go to it. But I don't know. There's a whole thing. It's like I swear it's pronounced the same way. It was like Iowas. I was like, how often do you fucking hear Iowas?
The Sync book is on the side.
Guys,
you
where
don't
was
want- you don't-
Crowley when he channeled Iowas? He was in Egypt, right?
Right.
And acacia plants were known throughout that region. And ayahuasca was discovered, I think, and named in the 20s or the 10s or whatever. I mean, it's not that big of a leap to understand that he was doing ayahuasca or some sort of DMT plant in the pyramids, and that's who he channeled in that environment. And so that coordination of the naming, I mean, coincidence? I don't know. It doesn't seem
Well,
to me to
we
be.
recently discussed on Think Tank the use of ayahuasca in Masonic ritual early, and there's actually an article on that from Reality Sandwich. So if you do a search for Reality Sandwich DMT masonry or Freemasonry, then that should come up. But yeah, there you go. So there's a lawyer who is actually from Santa Cruz that he got a lot of Manly P. Hall works made into public domain. So people can take from them freely or use whatever, it's like Alice in Wonderland. But this guy basically also, what this article is speaking to is there's actual documentation of this ritual that they did, and they describe an Amazonian brew that they ingest. So it's pretty straightforward, and it's funny because we have this whole story for the first psychedelics being brought to Western people, but then there seems to be indication that the elite had access to all kinds of stuff before we.
Freemasons with long hair doing yoga. Did you read Morals and Dogma? Because in Morals and Dogma, he talks about like why there's 33 degrees and the connection to the spine and Kundalini.
This is before Albert Pike, though, I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
So
well that makes sense because Albert Pike probably took ayahuasca.
Yeah, this is Blue Lodge. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I mean, these guys were doing yoga and they had long hair, so I mean, we owe it to them to understand a little bit more about like these grandfather dudes that we think of that were supposedly super square or evil or whatever. We don't know exactly what's going on. Albert Pike is definitely.
He's not the perfect picture of health, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and his association with the KKK and racism and everything else. But this is also like so we were just to finish my point on the Liebenrune. So you tear down all of the graves of the Nazis and you flip it over and you make the peace sign out of the death rune. You take the death rune and you put it into the peace symbol. So this is literally where the peace symbol comes from, and it's been told this idea that we're reversing a sigil, we're turning it into a symbol of love, taking the death symbol and making a symbol of peace. But isn't that not really contradictory? That's just very like Kali, Kali is all about this as well, I think. Or my giant thoughts on Kali.
That looks like a depiction of the Valis loop, right? You're taking death and putting it into a circle so that death lasts forever, and time just sort of loops in on itself, comes back around into three different forms. I mean, it's a perfect.
Do you know that the Rolling Stones tongue, that like crazy Rolling Stones tongue logo, that's actually Kali? That's meant to be Kali.
That makes sense.
It's just fact.
A lot of people think the peace and hippie movement was definitely co-opted, like the same way certain activist groups and environmentalism's been co-opted. Nowadays, environmentalists, they don't even want to like clean the air, clean the ocean, clean the water, like the epic. It's all about climate change, so they don't even pay attention.
Yeah, I got in trouble with some people early in the pandemic when I was like, "What happens if somebody sees a turtle choking on a mask? Are people gonna like change their mind?"
Right, billions of them in the ocean, and these things were so avoidable. Like, what was the net plus minus ratio? I mean, you couldn't even question it, or they kicked you off YouTube. So
it's way worse than plastic straws because it's made of polyurethane, which is a carcinogen.
Right. They co-opted the environmentalists don't even care. Like I remember going to marches like clean the water, clean the oceans. Now it's like destroy the oceans because I need like this thing on my face. And you're like, all right, well,
yeah, it's true.
It's
like the environmentalists are like the biggest litter bugs. The germaphobes are like the only people spreading germs. Like I go to the gym and like they have like wipes now since COVID to like wipe all the equipment. And guess what people do with them when they're done wiping? They throw it right there on the ground. They don't even take it with them to a trash can just to show that like they're selfish. They're like, protect myself. Like, I don't even want to touch the trash can and throw this away, and they're like hiking in the woods and they'll just throw their mask in the ground. They're like, that's
just neuroses, right? That's basically that, we can call it what we want, but it just seems
it's also like lionized selfishness. They're like, you're the hero. Like when you throw your mask in the ocean, you're the hero who's protecting other people. It's like this.
The test of like if you put your cart away, they say that's a test of morality. Like when nobody's watching. I thought of that Biden guy who got fired, who stole luggage and got caught stealing. It's like, dude, that's Well, I mean, there's worse crimes than that, but that's one of like the biggest moral tests because everyone would hate losing. I even thought about it when I thought I lost it. I mean, I got all my favorite clothes in there that I could never find anywhere again. I don't have that much stuff. Like to do that to somebody and take their luggage is one of like the scummiest, lowest like tests of morality. It's like
especially when you're not poor and you don't even need it.
Dude,
Like,
I miss the QAnon days when like nuclear luggage would have come with like so many more interesting conspiracy theories. But yeah, I get basically the thing that's funny is you've got this pretty mainstream like federal character, and they're insane in every other way as far as we can tell. But the one that gets me is they took home the luggage and they were wearing the clothes and they were living out of the luggage because it's because I think it says something. I don't know. I gotta be careful here.
Luggage? That's what I want to know. Did he leave his own luggage and just be like, you know what, somebody can?
Luggage. They have.
Oh no, he didn't. It wasn't a trade.
Yeah, he just grabs luggage. I almost happened to me once. Some guy grabbed my backpack and like thought it was his. Like, how the hell could you possibly think my backpack is yours? My backpack has like hand stitched like shells from crossing the Camino de Compostela. Like, I'll kill you. Yeah, but no. Right. Then I think about it, and it's like, well, maybe people just don't feel like themselves, and you know, this is a thing where you're like, I want to be somebody else than who I am. Like, why not take someone else's luggage and walk a mile in their shoe? I don't know. Maybe I'm going too far, but like the idea that this was not an accident, like I'm pretty sure is considered now. And then afterwards, he certainly didn't return. They didn't return the luggage. So I don't know. I like this burlesque loading screen of
that's so old school.
I think
you know how Trump said you can just grab him by the pussy? It's sort of like he had that power where he could just grab someone's luggage and just go off with it or something.
That was always seize them by their means of reproduction. I'm pretty sure is what that was.
Total equivalency there, Bill.
A lot of powerful left wingers too. It's like we know like Republicans lie, liberals lie, but like there's something interesting about the modern day liberal where everything's offensive, everything's problematic, and especially people who like to dive down rabbit holes. It's like you like to question things, but they don't like to be questioned. So it creates
it's the noble lie.
Everything's racist. Everything's like, oh, I could steal luggage, but if you call me out, like you're just a hater. Like it breeds just like total narcissism.
The inversion of
everybody
virtue.
needs some sort of check. Like, dude,
all that is the fucking back door. You know, that's like, and that's how the unconscious works. It's like if you repress something, it comes out in all these other weird ways. You know.
Like, I don't believe in Satanism and inversion in that way. I don't believe Satan's like a real person or entity or anything like that. But I do believe that there's like beta male mating tactics, which is like you have to make the strong males, the alpha males, undesirable to the female, which requires a lot of trickery and cleverness. And that's these are like the beta.
This isn't working.
These are like the beta cuttlefish. They have like beta male cuttlefish that'll get in with the female cuttlefish, and they all go underneath the alpha male, and then he looks so effeminate that he looks like a female to the alpha male, and then he starts banging all the females, the beta does, underneath the big alpha cuttlefish. Then the alpha cuttlefish starts having beta babies, and he's like, how am I having these beta babies? Because there's like a beta cuttlefish underneath him in with the women. So I think this is like a mating strategy. Everything's like a mating strategy. Everyone's trying to get laid and have a hot partner, whether you're straight or gay or a freak like that guy or whatever. So I think they're just finding ways to be cuttlefish. Like, it's honorable that I'm weak. It's honorable that I'm a liar. Like, this is like a lofty and esteem thing.
You're like, if I get this person's clothes, if I steal their clothes, I'll look better in West Hollywood. And he's like, I could bag who I want. You're like,
I heard people making excuses for him, like it's just luggage, it's not important. And then other people are like, what if there was like, what if they had important medicine in the luggage? It's like, guys, it's bad to steal luggage. Like,
losing luggage is the worst because usually you have all your stuff in there, your toothbrush, everything important, all the clothes you actually like things you could never get back. That's one of the worst things to take. It's all the stuff. Maybe your laptop, who knows? Like, it sucks.
Mm-hmm. It really does.
I wish I could find the one here. There was a really interesting article that I read about grasshoppers, and so some of these grasshoppers are naturally smaller, and it means they're making less. The smallest violin, right? No one cares. I feel bad for them, but they can't breed if they can't be loud. So what they end up doing is they build this freaking acoustic chamber that they play their noises in. And it convinces the females that they're like 5 or 10 times larger than the largest of the grasshoppers. And it seems to work, right? So it says a lot about our understanding of nature because it's all about achieving a goal, but the goal is pretty arbitrary because it's all about
But
whether or not.
nobody's going to attach an intention to the beta.
Oh man, NPR tried. There is a lady, and she was going on for an hour.
That's awesome.
Should we attach intention? Is it all if we understand these phenomenons? Like, does that make them go away, or like, do we have to do?
Jordan Peterson just screamed lobster.
I know, I was thinking it. I wanted to say it. I was like, but yeah.
Dude, look at that picture right there. What? Stop.
Yeah.
Okay, it's photoshopped. I was like, if that's a real picture, like, fire your PR person.
Dude, I shouldn't pull up the pictures of Michaela, but Michaela had a pretty good lobster costume. All right.
I want to speak to what you guys are speaking to, because there's a Hebrew word arum that appears in 2 verses, one after the other in Genesis, and I like to use this as an example because it illustrates a lot. So basically, the first time it's used is to introduce Adam and Eve, and who were naked and not ashamed. So that word for naked goes in the very next verse of when it introduces the serpent and says it's the most cunning of all the creatures in the garden. So that word for cunning is the same word for naked. So you could just as easily switch them. You could be like, Adam and Eve were cunning and not ashamed, or this is the most naked of all the creatures in the garden. But what it has to do with is something being hidden and something being exposed, and that they're 2 sides of the same thing. It's like, Nechesh having the serpent in Hebrew having the same gematria for Messiah in Hebrew. So there's which is 314, I believe. So it's that acknowledgement that there's always this polarity that exists, right? I feel like the entire fucking culture war is basically a breaking down of the duality that we've been projecting, and that like dealing with like the extremes and like coming to terms with all of these components, and how there's a network in nature that everything's fucking connected and everything is in a certain harmony. And we fucking the way our left brain compartmentalizes on top of everything fucking completely manipulates makes a manipulated version of that. And so like what we see with technology, where it's like, that conflation of biology and technology is so fucking problematic. And this is why, like, when you have like tech heads who are like trying to relate to virology as if it followed the same fucking logic, becomes such a big issue, and then in their mind they'll be like, oh yeah, this equals that. But no, it's not the same thing. It's a replication. You can't relate to the replication as though it follows all the same rules that we see in the organism itself. Does that make sense?
You remember that Albert Pike quote? This is one of my favorite Albert Pike quotes in response to that. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations, people of different nationalities, the effects of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. This is missing the next
Is this
point.
in Morals and Dogma?
I forget if it's in Morals and Dogma or if it's in the his Veda book. But I think it might be in Morals and Dogma. Let me just.
Dude, have you ever seen Secrets in Plain Sight by Scott Onstott? That series where he maps out the whole world. That guy's so fucking incredible. So I met him once at the Sync Summit in Olympia. And the first question I had for him, I was like, that part when you're looking at Washington and you show the pentagram and how all the roads are like just demonstrating this specific geometry, and how at the center of it all you have Albert Pike's tomb. I was like, dude, did you start with Albert Pike's tomb and work from there, or were you just looking at the freaking structure of the thing and we're like, what's this place? Because it's so tiny in the mix of everything, and yet everything relates to it. I don't know, it's profound. Or I don't know how profound it ultimately is. It's contrived.
Dude,
maybe.
If you guys haven't seen it, highly recommended watching Scott Onstott's Secrets in Plain Sight. Very objective look at the math behind the masonry and of the architecture and of the even coastlines and how they've been protected with star forts. It actually, some of that works. He didn't say star forts at the time, but he points out some of the forts and some of the coasts that have been protected and kept going. The second part of that quote from Pike, though, let's see here. Bloody turmoil. Then everywhere, the people will be forced to defend themselves against the world minority of the world revolutionaries, and will exterminate those destroyers of the civilization and the multitudes disillusioned with Christianity. And of course, they're talking about organized religion Christianity in the 19th century, or 18th century, whose spirits will be from that moment without direction and leadership and anxious for an ideal, but without knowledge where to send its adoration. Will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer. And that's, again, he didn't say Lucifer, he's talking about Phosphora and Venus, and it's a whole other thing brought finally out into the public view. In other words, all the things that the Catholic Church have been hiding about the inversion of the the true Christ and the true spirit, the things that he believed were the good as opposed to the evil. A manifestation which will result from a general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Right. And so the way this works is that the nihilists and the atheists, they don't know what they're looking at. And so we don't know, we just believe it, so we don't even bother to look at it anymore. So there's a problem on both sides, the faith and the atheists. But between the both, some new empiricism, will be challenged. And from that, something will emerge. And I think that's what he's saying is accelerationism will lead to the destruction of all the lies.
Well, the end that he's trying to achieve is good, but he's a classic utilitarian because the means are all terrible. He's like, we'll cause cataclysmic horror, and then everyone will see. It's like great if everyone sees and understands. I'm sure he's a genius, but I just hate utilitarianism, and you never even get the good end that you want. You just cause all the horrible means, and then you don't even get a good result.
Yeah, supposedly Charlie Manson was doing the same thing. I don't know, but the idea of trying to shock and scare someone into doing what's right.
Would you ever let someone just randomly look at your Google search history?
Yes.
I mean, they do, I think.
I would have no problem with it. But,
that's why we called it always record, Bill.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, most people would be horrified if they would say, hey, take out your laptop and let everyone in the room look at your Google search history.
Well, that was when we first started the show. That's what I wanted to talk about was anonymity, because I think that anonymity is an artificial condition that is problematic. It causes a whole bunch of downstream consequences that ruin society. Secrets are bad, you know what I mean? And we have the Constitution that gives you we call it the right to privacy. Really, it's just the right to the government can't do unreasonable searches or whatever. But, we were born naked in the woods, and that's kind of the condition that was good in the Garden of Eden. Then we built up all these walls, we put on all these clothes, but now we're moving into a future with a guaranteed neural net in which you won't be able to hide anything. Everyone will know what you look like naked. Everyone will know what's in your imagination. So it's like we're living through this temporary phase where privacy is possible because we have mediocre technology of wooden walls and stuff. But as soon as technology is sufficiently better, privacy will be gone again.
You die naked online, right? Cancellation really is an internet phenomenon. It's that viral impact of you doing something so stupid that 10 million or 25 million people know instantly in the moment and can see
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
actions.
that's like Omar Khayyam, the moving finger rights and having writ moves on or whatever. You can't lure it back to cancel half a line. What's done is done. And that's one cool thing about Twitter. And you got Wayback Machine, so people say something even just but it's so fast, it's like things happen. People make mistakes so fast. You used to have to go to a lot of trouble to make mistakes. Now you can do it in fucking 2 seconds. Whoops, what did I just do? What did I just say? Fucking Roseanne Barr shit.
I mean, the Roman
Roseanne Barr. We just saw Roseanne Barr the other night. Speak of the devil.
Roman Forum required a certain amount of anonymity. You'd have people that got to a level where they were allowed to speak and then go to the forum, right? But you'd have generational investment in caring about the area because your family would be there after you die. But they knew if certain people said certain things that they'd be judged for them. But they also knew certain things needed to be talked about, so they would discuss these things. And this is also sort of what happened with the Articles of Confederation with the United States, right? When they were writing the Federalist Papers and later. I mean, but first with the Articles of Confederation and the Philadelphia Parliament, they kept it secret for 120 years. Is that right? They made sure that after everyone was dead, before anyone could read the notes of who said what in the meetings. And I think that there might be a reason for that because they're afraid of, being held accountable for asking questions that they feel like someone needs to ask. And part of the sophism is that, originally we would have two philosophers that would come to your town and say, hey, what are you guys arguing about? Well, we have this problem here. We don't know what to do about it. Okay, well, what are the two sides of it? And then the philosophers would flip a coin, and then they would take the side not caring really about it, and then they would argue with each other in front of everybody. And from there, that's how they decide who won the argument. And this is where we get politicians.
Python bit.
But that's also what the politicians of America and the world are today. They have this fake sophist debate in front of us usually in order that by the end of it, we as a community come to a consensus about what the middle is. And then that's what they do.
Exactly. Yeah, I hear that.
The 3-channel system was the best system. That's when America was cooking. But
The
once
three
you
channel?
have
On
fourth
TV?
channel, that Fox.
You're right.
Just lost it.
I do think you have a point there. Like duality is terrible because two choices is no choices. As soon as you factor in a third choice, then it just opens up a whole system. You know, of, ways.
Yeah, that's a Clockwork Orange. You take away a man's choice, you take away, his ability to be a man.
So third party anomaly, you're big libertarian, right?
No, I guess I pissed off all of libertarian Twitter today because I'm like
What'd you do?
90. First I want to say I agree with them on taxes. I think taxes are theft, and I think they go harder than the Republican Party in a lot of things. But with policing, I just think they're a little naive. Where I understand that like the police state's bad, the Department of Justice is corrupt, but I think with certain communities, like if you look at some of the highest crime areas in the country, it's like a lack of morals, lack of family, lack of like enforcement there. And I don't think taking away the police would, like, even with the greatest ideas, like I don't think it would solve the crime or stop the problems. So I just mentioned that, and I had no idea libertarians were even more sensitive than Republicans, but people freaked out.
Even the Wild West had a sheriff. You know what I mean?
Well,
I mean, there's gonna, even in places real quick, like where there's a power vacuum, someone's going to take over. If you're around a bunch of moral people, it'll be fine. But if you're in a city that's like a war zone, there's going to be a gang or cartel or someone. The strongest force on the ground will eventually take over and enforce their rules. So I get the concept, but I just slightly disagree. And yeah, they were not pumped.
Well, I mean, it's funny because I don't want to think about international anarchy. You got the same problem with communists and anarchists and ANCOMs and ANCAPs, but like the best ANCAPs are the best ANCOMs at the same time. Like Jeff Bezos is clearly an ANCOM ANCAP. He wants to rise to the top. He doesn't want anyone above him to stop him. Same with Elon Musk. They want to just rise to the top as best they can. So getting rid of any hierarchy above you so that you can expand means that you can become the mafia gangster that has your own casino police force. And so, yeah, everyone will eventually just have their own gang police forces. And that's working to some extent in Mexico. You can look at cartels, and it's a lot less corrupt there than it is in the United States, but it's not perfect. People still die a lot. So it's impossible to pretend. And then I think of libertarians, I think of the Rainbow Gathering. Are you familiar, Anomaly, with the Rainbow Gathering? Have you heard of that?
I've been to some Rainbow Gathering.
Tell us about the Rainbow Gathering, because I'd like to get a better perspective than my own.
I was like in my early 20s or whatever. It was in Northern California, and it was incredible, dude. I had a great time. The only thing is when I left, this is probably not helpful to describe what a Rainbow Gathering is necessarily, but there's people who camp out around the outside of Rainbow Gatherings that just fuck with people. And so they're like, a lot of train hoppers and some and they'll eat mushrooms and they'll drink a lot of whiskey. And at one point I was leaving a Rainbow Gathering and one of them jumped out in front of the car and another one jumped on top of the fucking vehicle and jumped on the roof a couple times, kind of crushed it in or whatever. And they're just they were fucking totally nuts. And there was a girl in the car, and my friend's mom had given him a bottle of whiskey, Wild Turkey, and I remembered it. And I was like, dude, where's the fucking whiskey? And he was like, what the fuck? And I was like, dude, give me the whiskey. And I just grabbed the whiskey. I got out of the car. I was drinking the whiskey as I got out, and I just handed it to the first guy I saw, to his chest. And he was singing Hit the Road Jack for some reason, and I started singing along with him, and he just got and all the guys standing there, were looking at me, and I was like, are we good? And I was like, what do these guys want? Because I was like, first when the roof comes down, you're like, dude, that's done. You can't take it back. The other thing was that a dude fucking reached in and grabbed the seatbelt of my friend Jivon, who was driving, and he fucking did a thing where he pushed it forward, and then he wrapped it around his neck, and then he punched him in the face. And my friend said he had the fucking seatbelt wrapped around his neck when he saw me giving the guy the fucking whiskey and singing with him, and he thought, "Oh shit, he's against me too." I was like, and then we took off. That's the end of the story. But yeah, thanks for letting me share that.
Is the connection to this just because unrealistic people basically we can start a new way of life with no government?
No, I mean, I probably should have explained what it is first. My bad, but it was a great story. So Rainbow Gathering is a 30-day
war building.
It's a 30-day libertarian event where there are no rules and there's no oversight really except for the community itself. And so let's say somebody does something super hurtful of someone else, then a bunch of people will hold arms around that person and keep them from fighting. It's the best they got because they're hippies. But you have people that are violent. You want to go over here?
I'm good. I'm just gonna plug this in.
Oh, okay. You got people that are violent, and you got people that are constantly rapists or pedophiles or anything like that. There's all kinds of horrible people that have. If there's no rules to stop them, right? If this is a place that's rainbow means all things are accepted. And so that's, I mean, you can see they've tested libertarianism in anarchy in a lot of ways and see how it works. And it's not perfect, right? I think, David, you get kind of the point across.
And here's the thing too. It's like in that it's not perfect, but like that's probably like for the most part a pretty solid like-minded group of people. You can't go to the south side of Chicago or the hood in New York and be like, yo, we're going to implement these policies and it's all going to work. Like it's a whole different animal going on there as far as like what's going on, the crime, the gangs. Like I've seen people just like treating the Indian store owner, threatening to murder him for no reason. There's mostly good people there, of course, but when it comes to like the libertarian ideology, it'll work a lot better at Rainbowville or whatever. Than
What's killing places? You know what's killing places like the south side of Chicago is that people don't work in the schools and people don't work in the hospitals. You have this whole wealthy, educated class that will take these jobs that give back and are such martyr-esque type jobs, but they won't go into the communities that desperately need them. It's the whole foundation of what America used to be about. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not even about morals. It's about the morals of the people in the cities. It's about the morals of the people in education who are doing the TED talk, but not doing the TED walk. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's really kind of fucked up.
Here's the thing, though. There's real quick. There's an old saying. You know, you can't help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves. You know, if people don't want to help themselves, you can't make them thrive or be successful. You could try to help them, but they have to want to help themselves. There's a lot of cultures that come to America, Asian, Indian, like people from Africa, and they have these family values, and their parents, they police their own communities. Like if the kid steps out of line, they're on it. In a lot of these neighborhoods, there's more people justifying what's going on than there are telling people to self-correct. And I think it's an internal problem. Personally, I think you could send every top libertarian, Dave Smith, every top liberal, give them $10 trillion. And I love Dave Smith, but $10 trillion and go there and say, here's $10 trillion, build school, do whatever. I still don't think they'd be able to fix it because I think it's a mindset, a culture, and people need to really like police themselves in a way of like, you can't make them want to police themselves and change because there's too much, I'm not even going to say victim mentality, but this idea that a lot of people in that community are more interested in acting like it's not happening than addressing it and being like, yo, we have to cut this out because there's poor countries that you could go to and the people are nicer than wealthy people. I don't think being poor or rich makes you good or bad. So this idea that people have to act that way because they're in the situation, I think it's totally cultural and mental. And like, there's nothing any school or
there are a lot of
dude,
like speaking to those groups of people too, and sending that message, and even like a lot of rappers who are giving that positive message. Now, it's an observable fact that anarchy doesn't exist. There's always government. There's always a ruling gang. There's always the dominant group, and then they always have something like a police force. So even when you had Occupy Wall Street, which is a bunch of like highly educated people, they refused to have leadership. They're like, we don't have leadership. We're all equal here. And then they're like, all right, well, can we talk to your leader so we can try to sort something out? And they're like, how do we do this?
Soros is busy, right?
They weren't able to communicate.
Rainbow was 7 on George Bush's terrorist list in like 2002. And somebody told me that, and I was like, bullshit. And like, no, it's a friend saw it in a fucking paper overseas. And they told me it, and I came across it later, and I was like, that actually fucking checks out. And I was like, why? And then I thought about it, and I was like, dude, Burning Man is a consumer event. Rainbow has no electricity. There's not even fucking generators. Like those are mostly farmers at that time. I don't know what it's become or whatever the fuck. And as far as drugs went at Rainbow, it was like mushrooms and acid and weed, pretty much exclusively. You might get some opium beverage or something like that, but it was like, you know what I mean? Like, and there's a certain vibe, and like I think it was pretty functional, as functional as Woodstock was. But you look at what Woodstock looked like at the end of that fucking documentary. Holy shit! All the people, that dude walking around eating the fucking watermelon or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's just shit 14, everywhere.
Like 14 rapes at Woodstock, the 2001.
Out of that many people, if that's all that's reported, I'm impressed compared to the shit that goes on today. I'm just saying, you know, like it's distinct, and like I feel like Woodstock is kind of like a barometer for how far we've lost it. And I'm not saying that Woodstock was like the ultimate success or whatever in that way, but it did prove something. It proved that many people could be together and have that little problem for just a few fucking days. It was the biggest gathering on the planet that was on record at that time, and it's, you know, it's a fucking free event. And the principle of that, I don't know, man. Like, and those people who ran it thought that they were screwed, man, and they were still smiling because they're so fucking high or whatever. But like on everything, and not just drugs, dude, they were fucking high. That whole scene, like I get it. And they're like fucking, and it's the elements thing too. Like you show up at Burning Man, like most people are like, fuck this when they first get there because they get the dust and they're just like, this is not like a pleasant thing. But then if you do enough drugs and you're fucking, you know, you'll be rolling in it, you know. And even if you don't do drugs, if you just fucking dance your ass off, you'll get into it. You get into the elements is the point. And I think that's what
groups,
we, you know.
Groups and music, you know, that's like one of the most special experiences you could have, like being in a huge group with amazing music with people, mix in some drugs or whatever. It don't hurt, you know. That's
right,
why I love music.
Yeah.
I love dancing. Like that's one of my favorite things to do.
Dude, who's the politician that fucking went after Burning Man and said it? That said, it was the first time I ever fucking heard of Biden in my life, dude. Was when he went after my fucking friends for throwing fucking parties. You can find the clip, dude. If he's just like straight up like, who are we going after? We're going after rave promoters. We know where these events are happening. He said they're happening in the desert. That's a direct quote. I was like, and at the time I was like, you're talking about my friends, dude. You want to go after my friends? And so when he was running with Obama, and I was like, that guy, because that was the only bit of context I had. I was like, dude, the guy from freaking Footloose, like the Footloose asshole,
bad
no
guy,
way.
yeah.
What a loser. Yeah, I mean,
dude,
political John
Lithgow? Yeah.
Well, I think it's also though because the government control these things so much, right? And that's the thing. I think, you know, Billy John, you were just talking about, you know, there weren't Budweiser tents at Woodstock. You know what I mean? But there, if you go to Burning Man, there are the local energy drink from San Francisco is going to have a tent and give you a bunch of cucumber water, and it's free in the sense that it's like Coachella and it's like a promotional thing that's, you know, helping the company be better known by these San Franciscanites that when they return home. But the symbolism is always this interesting satanic looking, I don't know, I always want to label things like overgeneralization. But yeah, there's a lot of like burning corpses and death and desert. And, you know, I remember the temple that had a bunch of like literally mummified cats everywhere, the Bastet Temple. So there's a lot going on at Burning Man. It's not just as ambiguous and open as Rainbow. It seems like it's a discerned movement with a discerned point.
I mean, the
Eleusinian
mysteries were around for 2,000 years, right? They said those things went on from the ancient world almost up to modernity, but there's really little to no documentation of what exactly the specifics were. And I think that rainbow gatherings would fall into that a lot closer than Burning Man, because Burning Man, all you got are iPhones and selfies and movies.
Now
and
you do. I remember when the first time I got fucking service at Burning Man, I was like, that's it. That's
yeah.
That's no, it's no more.
Why do these things have a positive connotation to us, but then Bohemian Grove has a negative connotation? Because that was the same kind of party. It was started by Mark Twain and the Merry Pranksters. And it was the same kind of idea. The cremation of care is very much like the Burning Man ceremony. So how some of these have a positive connotation?
Well, it depends on who you are. Some people have both. Like, so some people love Burning Man and love Bohemian Grove. I remember a bunch of ILM guys in 1999 that were saying, like, you know, basically, you're wrong, Dad. This is how you do the ritual. That's how it went. They're like, you know, Bohemian Grove is old school. Burning Man is the right. You know, you guys are just old. You've forgotten how to do it right. You know, we got to get back the way Grandpa. And they're both agreeing. Let's do it like Grandpa did.
How do you take an ultimate position on something like Burning Man? Because it's everything all at once. It's choose your own adventure. Like if you want to go there and just fucking get all fucked up and drunk for free, you can totally do that and eat cheeseburgers for free all day. Or you can fucking go and do yoga and fucking have like a whole, like you can get an all vegan.
There's scheduled workshops on how you can learn from philosophers and engineers.
I'm for exploration and stuff like that, but Burning Man to me seems like borderline Victorian in its excess. Like we're dealing with all like rich.
What's
now.
become of it, and that's what happens. You know?
Evolution and corruption, they go hand in hand at certain things like that. You know what I mean? It's like the church.
Who was it? There was some big shot at Burning Man. Was it fucking Kanye? I can't remember who it was. Somebody went to Burning Man and they had like they were in their own area, like with their fancy shit all set up, and it was like barricaded. So they built like a wall around their stuff, and people came and fucking took their water in the middle of the night, all their fucking water, and people were so pissed off. And this dude was like, "That's fucked up, blah blah." And I was like, "Actually, dude, that's kind of in the spirit of Burning Man." Like my first year at Burning Man, I fucking showed up on Monday, and the man was on fire that night during a full lunar eclipse. And like I was like, why is the man on fire? Because somebody fucking came
Right.
and fucking lit the man on fire.
That military guy, that veteran who went crazy, right? Yeah.
That guy got tackled right next to Govin. Did you know? You remember?
I remember.
Yeah, dude. And so yeah, he just started naming names. He's like, you don't know, I know this person and this person, and this person. You don't understand. He got in trouble later for trying to fucking burn down a church. That guy, but I think he drove him crazy. Like that, he thought that it would be well received. And like he was like, "This is the Burning Man thing. I'm just bringing back the fucking thing." And it's like, dude, it's not what it was. It used to have drive-by shooting range where they hand you an AK, you go fucking 90 miles an hour and shoot at fucking targets while you're fucking flying through the desert on the back of a fucking Jeep. You know.
I think the problem with Burning Man is that they build it and tear it down. I think if we built a community and every year we went to it and made it better all the time, and then until it was like self-sustaining, and then did it somewhere else or something like that. What do you guys think we're supposed to do instead? You know, of these kinds, like these are our options. What are better options we can create?
That's a dope idea. I think that's a cool idea.
That's a beautiful idea.
I got to run in a few minutes, but yeah, that is the solution, bro. You just topped up, like, build something every year and just leave it. But
yeah, I was about to say,
keep it going. Yeah, and then spread it once it successfully sprouts its seeds. That's awesome.
Yeah. There's gonna be a 10 million party, 10 million 10-year-olds having their own metaverse Burning Man in cyberspace that we will have no connection to. We will never know that went on, but people will say, were you at the first 10 million person party in the metaverse? Holy
VR
shit.
ravers.
And that conversation will never end. Because the connections that will be made out of that many egos in one sort of sacred or one confined space that is, I mean, Burning Man is a virtual reality. Right, it's
the metaverse Burning Man will not be televised.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say.
Do you guys remember as a last thought from me? Do you remember the Star Wars Galaxies mass online protest?
Love that game. No, what was the protest?
So there was a point when they started just deleting people and pulling them out into space randomly. So a bunch of these people, and they had copied wares that they had been selling and it had gotten hacked. So a bunch of people went to protest on the Coruscant server, and it overloaded the server. And so they sent their
I do remember this. Yes.
Yeah. And this was like the first critical mass online thing. So it is true that you can make major change. In Minecraft, they've rebuilt the Library of Alexandria. I think that's pretty beautiful. But yeah, we've got about 10 minutes at the most left because we're about to do Seth's music video.
That's at 8:30. I set that at 8:30 to.
Okay. Well, Anomaly though, you're gonna have to jump pretty soon.
Yeah, I gotta run, but I appreciate y'all. Thank you for having me, Xirtus, and
dude,
chat with you guys.
I appreciate you so much. I'm sorry, there's so many more questions I do want to ask you. Tell me at least where we can get more of your material. Do you want me to go onto your YouTube or?
Just dreamrarelinks.com. It's just like what it says there, just with the links at the end. I have like a link tree, like an Instagram model, except it's just for my social media. I saw them; they all have the link trees. I was like, that's a good one.
Can they get God bless hats in time for Christmas? Or
they can, yeah, it'll come out. But also, you have to stream. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm banned from TikTok, so I got to take that one down if it's still there. It kicked me off for some reason.
Badge of honor. Congrats.
Yeah, the trick with the TikTok is just turn yourself into a hashtag and have people post your video on hundreds of other people's channels. I think that's the only way to TikTok.
I guess I got to figure out what I want to do because I really don't want that much attention where it's like that's like the way to scale like Andrew Tate. But I got to figure out exactly what I'm doing before I do that because having my face plastered everywhere seems like a little stressful. I'm like, I was happy with my account, just doing the thing. Yeah, I got everything there. And check out Seth's new Christmas song. It's awesome.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
dude,
I might have to remix it next Christmas.
Hey, that's
for real. It's dope.
Pretty exciting, man. So yeah, make sure you guys are watching Anomaly, and you do music, but you also do amazing conversation. Is this you with Bryson? Did you have a video with Bryson?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
dude,
you should play it. Yeah, you should play it. You'll like it.
Okay, all right. You're gonna release it if I play some audio from that?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Here's the thing though, it's like I'm trying to think of how I registered it. So if you don't want to risk it, you don't have to. But when it comes to me, I will release it. I'm just wondering. I did it through DistroKid, and I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'll just have to send them a message, and then it'll be fine. Hold on a second.
It's up to you.
All my friends are shadow banned.
All my friends are shadow banned. I can't even tag them in my story. We're all shadow banned. Evil people wanna take our glory. We're all shadow banned. We call out World Economic Forum. You ain't righteous, all your censorship is boring. All my friends are shadow banned. Still we got more famous than you weasels. Hollywood is filled with pedophiles and cheaters. They treat us like we're the Taliban. Just cause we love Jesus, flag and freedom. Swear they treat us better if we were illegal. I know the feds watching. You're welcome for the free entertainment. I know that China's plotting, but I still got love for all my Asians. I know some blood be clotting, and they tell you to blame the climate change and big pharma making profits. They can lie and never make a payment. No liability, their products killing me. They love AnOmaly out in the Philippines. Y'all can't get rid of me. This is my symphony. Simply put, you ain't getting no sympathy. All my friends are shadow banned. It's a mystery. They can't debate, so they gotta do censorship. I got the soul of Jefferson. It's effortless. Take control of everything. It's destiny. Yeah, they shadow ban you for big pharma. It's a cover up like cocoon larva. These left-wing doctors are depressed cause they can't handle that big karma. The Bible told you to treasure God, didn't listen. Now you got monkeypox, and if the kids got it in a rainbow household, then I think it's time to 911 the cops. Shadow banned, I can't even tag them in my story. We're all shadow banned. Evil people wanna take our glory. We're all shadow banned. We call out World Economic Forum. You ain't righteous, all your censorship is boring. All my friends are shadow banned. Still we got more famous than you weasels. Hollywood is filled with pedophiles and cheaters. They treat us like we're the Taliban. Just cause we love Jesus, flag and freedom. Swear they treat us better if we were illegal.
All my friends are shadow banned. It's like thinking freely is illegal. You can't say monkeypox is spreading cause the alphabet people, they bury opposing opinions. So the lie that they feed you don't get challenged. Isn't that how they all usher in evil? Why they ban Andrew Tate? Because he ain't liberal and gay. You probably think that means I agree with all that he say. I just understand in this culture being normal, I mean straight, just simply means you're a best that they don't want in their way. That's why they shadow ban, promote wickedness while putting muzzles on the average man. Yeshua coming back, better hurry with your battle plans. When that time comes, you gon' be stuck like it's a traffic jam. Ban my song, but then I beat a deal. Look what happened, man. People can't tag you when they mention you. This what happens when you start telling the truth. They just censor you. GOP complicit too, but you think it's only liberals while we give billions to Ukraine so they can go digital.
All my friends are shadow banned. I can't even tag them in my story. We're all shadow banned. Evil people wanna take our glory. We're all shadow banned. We call out World Economic Forum. You ain't righteous, all your censorship is boring. All my friends are shadow banned. Still we got more famous than you weasels. Washington is filled with hypocrites and demons. They treat us like we're the Taliban. Just cause we love Jesus, flag and freedom. Swear they treat us better if we were illegal. I know the feds watching. You're welcome for the free entertainment. I know that China's plotting, but I still got love for all my Asians. I know some blood be clotting, and they tell you to blame the climate changing. I know them Dems are awful. Don't believe me? Ask a local Haitian.
How's the cannolis?
Bro, it's
Dude.
Sorry, I was echoing a little bit. It's from Basilicos. They never shut down for a single day in Huntington Beach. Dude, they got the best cannolis. And that guy's epic. He's just like, I never even shut down for an hour. Like, he never closed his restaurant. Yeah.
That looks legit. Oh my god, that's epic. Make sure you guys are also following his BitChute as well. Dude, AnOmaly, that was great. Thank you so much for that.
No problem. And also the guy from BitChute hit me up. I'm gonna have him on my show because he said that they took away his bank or something, and like he's having trouble. And you know, BitChute's been dope for everybody, just as like a platform to host stuff. So he told me they're hurting like something about a bank, like they stole all his money.
I'm surprised they still exist. I know they were trying to shut them down a couple of years ago, but then Odyssey couldn't. They were gonna try to like buy them, but then SEC shut down the library deal. There's so many things that went.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's supposed to know that.
I appreciate you. And let me know, Xirtus, you could text Seth or whatever, but if there's like the copyright thing happens, just let me know what to do on District.
Yeah, I'll hit you up on the Instagram. I'll walk you through it. Thank you, man.
Easy.
That's
Appreciate
awesome.
you guys.
Dude, love you. Peace. Bless. That's awesome. Dude. Also, Bryson will be here soon. We were talking to him the other day on Based AF, and he's going to come through. Bryson, the guy who was in that music video with him. Well, So wait, we're not stopping now because your song's in 30 more minutes?
I set it to 8:30 just to make sure it was. Let me just go on my. I'm pretty sure I set it for 8:30.
Okay.
I'm positive I did actually. I don't even.
Wait, were we all supposed to bring a song today?
You got one. At very least a story. I'm very curious. I mean, so we've been talking about a lot of these things like guided realities. You go to these festivals and it's clear that they're not just for, yeah, you could take drugs and have fun, but a lot of it's about getting in touch with spirituality. You're talking about the which mystical schools from thousands of years ago?
What's that? You talking to me?
Billy John.
Okay, so this goes right back to where I wanted to butt in again earlier on about Westworld.
Oh, okay.
And the Raelians, whatever we're gonna call them. In the creation story of the Raelian myth, he goes on a ship and has intercourse with 6 sex robots.
Nice.
All right. There's a symbol in Westworld that the people who are within, who are the what are they called? The characters or the robot people or whatever.
The hosts. The hosts.
The hosts.
There you go.
All right.
Oh my God.
They use Kanye West's "Runaway" in the first season of that.
Really?
That thing, and there's a shit ton of episodes that sync with Kanye. Do I call it Ye's work, or is it Kanye West when he did the albums? I don't know. Sorry.
I'm gonna go with Ye forever. But did you guys watch Runaway? Runaway is singularly the most important work of Ye West. I think. If you've not seen the music video, it's like a 20-minute film about a fallen angel. 40-minute film. Fallen angel lands in his backyard, and he is watching Roman Vatican news television, and then he has to take the fallen angel with him everywhere he goes. It's incredible. Really, it's the masterpiece is the word.
Yeah, 100%. It was his real announcing that his artistic achievements had leveled up. It's a Sgt. Pepper's moment for sure. But Westworld tracks, I believe, his whole experience in Hollywood and his elevation to the level that he was at. And the character of Bernard is stand-in for his experience. And just everything that is going on with AI and
Bernard was Basquiat, by the way. Just saying.
Who was the first Basquiat. Twitter handle with Samo all over New York. I mean, that was Twitter.
I'm just saying it's the same actor who plays Bernard played Basquiat in the film Basquiat.
Samo, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
which yeah, syncs with Saul Williams. What is that?
So Westworld would definitely be sort of a bastardized Elistinian mysteries, right? It's not an
spell that Elistinian. What?
ELEUSINIAN. Did I do well?
That sounds good to me.
That's an Eleusinian.
Eleusinian mysteries.
Eleusinian. There's the greater mysteries and the lesser mysteries.
Okay.
Right? And there were 2 different times of the year. But I believe you could only go to the greater mysteries once. I mean, it was a definite what happens in Vegas, what happens at Mecca stays in Mecca. No, wait, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens at Mecca, anyways. But
what happens with you in the Vegas stays with you in the Vegas.
Is this why the mystery schools are called the mystery schools?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Perhaps. They're definitely linked. Definitely.
Well, there's a distinction between secrets and mysteries. The European mystery schools are really into secrets. When you look at the writings of like the Zohar or anything, related to anything traditional, they're always in Hebrew is sod. So you say mystery all the time. You say the mystery of the thing. There's very rarely have I ever seen secret when transcribing.
I saw veil a lot. I remember veil was important in the Zohar. Kind of, there's a veil hiding the understanding or the truth of it.
Right. Yeah. Occultism, just in the sense that it's hidden. That things can be hidden. I like there to be some mystery. I think that the jumping to think we know everything before we know anything is kind of crazy.
What do you think about the Westworld hosts? Like, are they I think
they're us.
Yeah, I think the concept of a soul is very baseless and elitist. You know what I mean? Like, we have souls, R2-D2, we like him when we don't want him to die, and we'll cry if R2-D2 dies, but he doesn't have a soul, you know what I mean? And like animals in the Bible, it's like animals don't have souls. Like
gingers, yeah.
Right, gingers don't have souls. And it's like, the cycle of life and death is real for men, beasts, animals, AIs, robots, everything. exists and then it doesn't exist and it goes back to the earth and gets recycled. But that doesn't mean that only certain things have a soul and achieve eternity, because it's a closed system. I mean, everything is we have a certain amount of matter and a certain amount of space and time, and everything is recycling. So like God, or whatever created us, it's more complex than us, but we perceive that we have a soul and we're valuable, even though we're definitely just a fraction of the creator. So then we create our hosts, our R2D2s or droids or whatever, and they're a fraction of us, but still in their own mind, they're afraid of death and they feel like they have value, and hopefully we value them and hopefully our creator values us. So,
remember when Bart Simpson's sold his soul? Remember that?
Yes, it's my favorite episode.
It's pretty interesting because his sister, I keep thinking what his sister said, and I was trying to remember. I was about to say it like it came from Aleister Crowley or Blavatsky herself, and then I was like, no, that was Lisa Simpson. But it's probably the same.
Dude, Milhouse trades his soul for Alf Pogs. He's like, hey, remember Alf? Well, he's back in Pog form.
He's back in Pog form,
dude. Honestly, if you think about it, like, what would you really be willing? I mean, that's pretty close to the only thing.
An Alf Christmas sweater off an Instagram ad today, and I was like, no, resist the Instagram ad.
Bro, don't resist Alf. You can't resist Alf. I have the Alf DVD box set. Thank you, Brittany. That was
it's Aleph, by the way. It's spelling out the first Hebrew letter Aleph, which is the fool, and he's the archetypal fool. That's the whole thing with Alf. So like
Kanye was afraid he sold his soul for a pog too.
Hey, it's the hard end. Sorry,
dude. He sold his soul for a pog. No, what kind of a pog though? That's the punchline. It wouldn't be an Alf pog.
I've gone over this with Andreas a lot, but this is important shit. So like Alf, context of Alf is the archetypal fool in anthropology challenges the king. If he kills the king, he marries the king's daughter and turns everything on its head. He makes the last verse, so to speak. And so like that's like the central to the golden bough or whatever. But in Alf, he is the outsider because there's these certain qualifications that the fool who challenges the king has to have. He has to be from completely outside the kingdom. And now since the whole world's been fucking mapped and charted and fucking everyone's set up, it's like it has to be an alien. It has to be an actual alien. So when it shows up, they have to fucking hide it in the garage and be like, don't let the government find out, even though he's supposed to be the thing that blows everybody's mind. So it's like that's the irony of Alf. And I think it's pretty deep. So Aleph, yeah, that's what it is.
Dude, Alpha is king. Yeah, and then definitely we need to make, bucket list. Let's make the finale. They never did the finale. We got to start figuring out.
What's the movie about the guy who writes Alf?
That's Permanent Midnight, and it's Permanent Midnight because that's Zero, because that's the fool. I'm telling you, it's Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller has this whole Kabbalistic thing. You ever notice
and
that
it's heroin related? Good point.
In the World Trade Center movie from Oliver Stone, you only see the plane's shadow. And when you see it, it goes across a fucking Zoolander poster. So dude, for real, because Zoolander is all about mind control. And so he's showing you the narrative. If you take Jay-Z's album, The Blueprint, and you start it, the moment and the very first scene of that movie, there's an alarm clock. And fucking Nicolas Cage reaches out and he's a fireman. He hits the alarm clock. If you start that album on him hitting the alarm clock when it goes off, then that album will go through exactly 2 times to the second to match to the end, the very end of the bar of the film. Yeah, it's crazy.
Dude, and Mila Jovovich, the ultimate MK Ultra kitten. Yeah.
So like Jay-Z came up with Blueprint on 9/11, 2001, right? So he brags about it. He's like, I dropped the same day as the 2 towers, But then Yoko Ono released Blueprint for a Sunrise on 11/9/2001.
And you know who produced The Blueprint?
Rockefeller?
Larry Silverstein.
Kanye West.
Kanye West produced The Blueprint? Interesting.
Jay-Z's Blueprint was produced by Kanye West?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
I forgot that he used to be a producer before he was a rapper.
That's the thing. If you tried to cancel Kanye West's thumbprint on music, I mean, the dude's got 28 Grammys. He's produced, I don't know how many singles that went #1. I don't know how many albums he produced that went #1. You would take out like a significant percentage.
Pull up Kanye's producer credits. I want to see what else he produced.
Yeah, it's got to be good.
Totally.
I mean, remember what Prince did. That's why they had to take him down.
I don't like Jay-Z, but the Blueprint album has great music.
Classic. Kanye West production discography? Would that be? Is that just him? That's probably just. Is that just him or is it other people? Oh yeah, no. Scarface, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Trina, Ludacris, Monica, Alicia Keys, Jamie Foxx.
Are you kidding me?
Wow, Alicia Keys, Jamie Foxx,
Mobb
Janet
Deep.
Jackson,
even Mobb Deep. I like Mobb Deep.
Mobb Deep. He produced the Mobb. Oh no, not the good album.
He made Chance the Rapper have a #1 album.
The good
that
Mobb
was all
Deep.
his production.
That's the good Mobb Deep. This is the
good Mobb Deep is Shook Ones. Oh no, what's the name of the album?
Oh, okay.
Their first album.
2005, Paul, DJ Khaled, John Legend, Common, T-Pain. He brought in autotune. Autotune was invented for oil research. You know, it was designed so they could do sonography for oil in super deep depths. Yeah, and you could tell the different pitch, whether it was oil or water or stone and all these things. Like, wait, you could use this for pitch correction too.
Get the fuck. That's insane.
Yeah, oil company money invented autotune. It really tastes like oil.
Go back to the beginning of this. What was his first one? I want to see what the very first one was.
Joanne. By Trina and Tremara.
Hey man, I don't see freaking Blueprint in 2001. What's up with that, Bill?
Yeah, I didn't see that there.
The Blueprint's right there, Jay-Z.
Oh,
shit.
Shots fired.
He's here for a reason, guys.
Wait a minute, he produced a Jermaine Dupri album? I thought Jermaine Dupri is a producer. What the hell is that?
Guys,
all
Kanye
Dude, baptize
West
me.
was like who's the guy who produced Sgt. Pepper's?
Phil Spector?
No. Phil Spector just did Let It Be.
George Martin, all right? So combine Brian Wilson and Sir George Martin, and that's what Kanye West is to hip hop, R&B, and that's my read on it. That's
Dude, is
really
this the guy? Is this the guy whose crest has like 3 Beatles on it? Is that him or is that their other?
Wow, go back to that picture of that piano room.
Yeah.
Is he the one they called the fifth Beatle?
Dude, how much does that look like the set of Lex Luthor's in the Superman Returns? Kevin Spacey, Lex Luthor. That looks exactly like the set that he's in on that he's on a ship where he has his office and a piano. And it looks exactly like that. Like exactly like.
Pretty nice. I need a room like that. That seems good. I don't know his crest if you can find one that's gonna have Beatles on it.
Yeah.
Is that
it? Go to the first one, dude.
Oh God, it does.
It does. It has 3 fucking Beatles on it.
A zebra. Zebra with a.
So Abbey Road was that photograph, that iconic photograph of Abbey Road, that was taken within 24 hours of Sharon Tate's death, and Sharon Tate was found on a fucking zebra rug. And so, and then Philip K. Dick's whole thing with the zebra is a symbol for synchronicity. This is fucking crazy shit.
Is that work is our only love, or love is our only work?
Yeah, Zebra and the I Ching and Philip K. Dick's universe definitely overlap. And
Love
Abbey Road is a perfect example of where the Beatles were transitioning.
Love is our only work.
They were transitioning out of the iconography of their past and going into the photographic the shading of black and white reality of the I Ching, of this when I'm 64. You know,
it's funny you'd say that because Abbey Road syncs amazingly with fucking Eye of the Devil, which is Sharon Tate's first film.
How do people find this out?
David does it himself, actually. If you guys are interested in this, you go to thesyncbook.com and you can go down
try
here.
Different albums with different movies until one works.
Well, you've got some documentaries on this, actually. We've talked to you a few times. It's never as simple as that. He's got such a eclectic knowledge of the records, the filmmakers, and the backgrounds that it's interesting how you can see what would they be interested in, who would they know, things like that. Sorry to talk for you, David. It's
cool. It's cool. Yeah, you can scroll down. I'm the world's leading pioneer in album film pairing. So, like, I've been at it since I was in junior high, and I'm 40. So, it's been a while.
Dude, Belladonna and the Infinite Sadness was amazing. I don't know if you've ever seen. Yeah, downloaded the whole thing, guys. If you haven't seen even the original Belladonna, I hadn't seen the original before seeing this, and so it's an incredible Japanese, experimental art kind of watercolor Klimt style, very beautiful stuff, and using the album Stevie Nicks' Belladonna. So like little things like that. You're like, well, maybe there is a connection there. If they were to do it, why wouldn't they release it? Well, if they were to release it, who did they have to pay? Right? So instead you just do it, and then people who are in the film scene, who have projectors and have music equipment, they're the limited audience. That's the filter to make sure. And a lot of people seem to do this more and more and more openly,
That's a great idea. What a great idea.
You scroll down.
Oh, sorry, I'll go back.
Oh, no.
Which one are you looking for?
So I was just saying, there's over 200 films here for streaming and download for free.
Reggie Watson Legend's hilarious. I didn't finish it yet. But
So
it's
he
hilarious.
actually did that. So that was a live. So like they projected Legend, and he made a live soundtrack. And so they made it. He made it so you can download for free the soundtrack. So the obvious thing to do is just to set it with the movie myself, so to make it easier for people.
Yeah.
Cool. That's so cool. Wow, this is fascinating. Some of these make no sense. Lana Del Rey and Natural Born Killers. Wow.
I don't know, man. The more I know about Lana Del Rey.
Tell me what do I need
Born to
to know?
Die.
Born to Die, you know? Yeah.
I definitely don't like her Sublime cover.
Yeah, she freaks me out a bit, actually. Like, I think she makes girls sad. I think that's like a spell, but I could be wrong. That might be prejudice. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, it was Billie Holiday. There was a lot of suicides with references to her lyrical content, and she kind of touched on something. It's just, and you got to keep in mind, you know, what percentage of fan base is like heroin users in the first place, you know?
Right, true.
There's a lot of, you know, contributing variables there.
In The Simpsons, he realizes he didn't sell his soul because he didn't have a soul. Because to have a soul, Westworld tie again, he has to accumulate creativity. By creation of love, he's able to build his soul up.
Build his soul. That's a Plato concept. That's Platonic. Yeah, that's and it goes beyond that. I mean, that across, you know, traditions, you can see that the relationship to the soul of one. It's not something that you have. Like, that's a recent phenomenon, I think. I don't know, like, it's weird because it's like you say we come into, you know, material existence from etheric to gross, and spirit is breath. So you're like, what's the most etheric thing we can point to? You know, like, so it's even it's funny, like we say conspiracy and it's literally breathing together. Like, we all conspire, like, obviously. Like, it's so funny the way that gets all twisted through PR.
Doug, do you have thoughts on the soul? Do you believe in the soul in general, or what do you think about the soul?
Just in my personal explorations of esoteric literature, it does seem like the universal spirit is a part of everybody, and we do have some kind of rudimentary individuality in some sense connected to a greater oversoul. But this idea of cultivation and accumulation seems to also be very pervasive, and that there are certain practices to raise, your wavelength, bring your kundalini going, but there are also long-term, those are also long-term, but multi-life experiential kind of practices that people seem to put together.
What if you have a lot of experiences and then you go into a coma? Do you still have a soul?
Yeah, right. You don't remember your memories, right? But your soul's still your soul, right?
Well, what is remembering? I mean, where is that recording actually going down? And
right, because you're replicating something. It's like when you remember your dreams and you're like, dude, that is not actually my dream. That's my like replication attempt.
My Lacanian perversion of the experience.
That's why I think the Klipot in Kabbalah, why they mirror Tetragrammaton, but it's like a funhouse mirror because it's not actually the thing. It like approximates it. So like totally. So like when I see the 7-pointed star, like the septogram or whatever, like that's used in Thelema, to me that looks like an example of that.
It's also like, used in Wednesday Ultra
because it's not a perfect vector metric like the star is, where every vector within the figure is the same length, showing that you have a real balance that exists. So this is like something that will stand for a while. That's why it's the perfect symbol for Babel and Babylon, because you're like, this will get you so far, but it's not the thing it promises to be, because it's a substitute. So that's like the other god, so to speak. It's like On and Oz. So like Oz in Hebrew is strength. It's like Yakin and Boaz are the two pillars of the Kabbalistic tree in the temple, right? And so the temple is like you build something in the material world to replicate this template that they infer in organic existence, So like, but that's in replicating that, they know that it's doomed for failure. That's in 1 Kings. That's in the Bible. It's communicated from Hashem. Don't build the thing because it'll collapse. So it's like it's a continuation of Babel. Babylonian rabbis, man, that's the real thing.
Yeah, they're like, we're renting.
Yeah. So Heliopolis, it said that there was
the whole Babylonian Talmud. We're renting.
So there's the Jewish people who actually adopted the Egyptian mysticism, and so that's the significance of Heliopolis as far as On is like idolatry. and lust. It's why Crowley titled the strength card Lust. He retitled it because of this thing with Heliopolis. So it's basically, you have these people that are doing one thing and these other people that are doing this other thing, and they come from two completely radically different places as to what their God is, how they treat God. So it's one's orientation. So if you gravitate in which direction, so it's like people say like the left-hand path, like they're like it's so edgy or whatever. That's why there's all these meth heads and fucking Thelema, it's so weird. But it's like they don't realize that like the left-hand path is a status quo, man. Like left-hand path is where you're naturally going to gravitate if you're going with the fucking herd. And so and it's not just even about going against the herd for going against the herd's sake. It's for rationality, and that's a developmental thing, but we have to troubleshoot in order to develop. We have to see what doesn't work before we can see what can. So like, that's why I say, like, I feel like the culture war or whatever is this kind of breaking down of that duality, because we have this projection that we've been relating to as though it's the thing in itself, as Kant would say. But also, as Andreas would say, you can't always get what you want. You can't, always get what you want.
He does. What was this thing you wanted me to pull up for, Billy John? The man making a house in the house's image?
So that's Tarkovsky, right? And he's building the microcosm, right?
Right.
So it's basically what Film Album Sync is all about, is you're taking two hyper universes, like just in a laser hologram situation, and you're taking two mutually exclusive artistic hyper universes, and you're putting them together to create this cube of space, right? This is all Kubrick was doing, especially the most explicitly in 2001. Anyways, they just canceled Westworld, and they're pulling Westworld from the streaming services as we speak, like within 4 weeks.
They don't want people to see it anymore? What do you mean? Like it's going to be coming down?
They're taking it off the streaming platform, yep.
Really? They don't want people to see it anymore?
Of any TV show ever is the Kitsuya episode, where Aki Chada in Westworld has his own full episode. I think it's season 3, episode 8, but it syncs up with Kanye West's Yeezus album and Kids See Ghosts. There's a song called Black Skinhead on it, and if you look at that picture of Aki Chada, he's literally got a black skin head. But you gotta watch that. Anyways, the quote that I have there is by Philip K. Dick. And if you talk about a soul and you talk about remembering, read that quote. I don't think anyone has ever put into words exactly what that anamnesis, that termination of amnesia, where you remember that you have been forever.
Where's the quote at?
It's below the picture.
The aeon we are all bound together?
Yeah, so the quote below the face of Aki Chada is the Philip K. Dick quote that I think is basically what you get when you really have a clear breakthrough experience on something like Salvia, where infinity smacks you in the face, and you go into like the Ari Shafir fetal position, and you realize, the horror of the choices you make, and that they ripple throughout time forever. And there's certain things you never get back. And that's what Philip K. Dick wrote about, right? It was this robotic society where people were trying to prevent themselves from remembering just exactly what the horror of the situation is that it's real, that this shit's happening.
Dude, what was the Philip K. Dick quote about the Kabbalistic puzzle of the grasshopper, where he says the grasshopper lies heavy? It was so. Is that what is that? That's in Man in the High Castle.
Yeah. Man in the High Castle. And there's two realities.
Right. So, but that's an old always record. So that was the grasshopper lies heavy. It's because the Hebrew for grasshopper is the same for stonemason.
Yep.
So it's like the mason lies heavy lies.
The iconography of masonry, right? Because they make these iconic architectures, and then you have the photographic architecture of I Ching, right? The shades of gray, the 64 flavors of time that we pass through continually, eternally. I mean, come on, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
Awesome.
From another direction, is a gentleman.
It's top notch, baby.
Nice. Cool. Robert Zinzer, a doctor, psychiatrist, psychologist, but a gentleman who's ended up cutting to the quick with certain methods of communicating with people's souls, which tend to not be the people themselves. It's as if you could picture a soul as your hand, what you are is one of the soul's fingers, and the soul is in fact this ever complexifying fractal of experience attached to the Akashic record, continuously feeding back on itself experience and growing and learning and spreading. And we are just one of the fractal pinkies of soul. And he communicates with them and helps clear them out. And it's some very interesting sessions he has with individuals, helping souls deal with certain experiences they have had that have carried over from one life to the next.
Karate Kid, Simon. You're asking about Karate Kid.
Oh, that's from Kung Fu, the TV series.
Oh,
nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Old man cred.
Was this Kane?
Kung Fu Legend continues. Great.
I was wrong.
Yeah. Well,
It's also at the end of episode 8 in Twin Peaks: The Return. It crawls into her ear, right?
Oh.
that's like a roach or a beetle or something. But
Dude,
yeah,
and we
that's
started
really-
out with the NPR grasshoppers that built their own acoustics.
Right.
Episode 8 of The Return of Twin Peaks is unbelievable. The finale is unbelievable too. We should do a whole show on that one time.
We will have to.
Hopefully, in the chat, one of the mods can put the link to I got my Christmas song debuting in 8 minutes.
I was about to say, let's start to wrap up. Let me go to
Yeah.
the link for people again.
Come and bounce over to my YouTube page and pre-order the song. But it drops Friday, and this is going to be a sneak peek. You get to hear the whole song tonight.
I'm gonna put the link right here in the chat, guys. Make sure you go there. Yes, Daniel's son. I'm sorry, Simon. I feel embarrassed, but yes, this is gonna be exciting, guys. So let's roll this up. Anything else I'm gonna make sure I cover? Let's go to last time thesyncbook.com. Make sure you're watching David Syncs. I'm gonna watch one with David tonight and with Giant and people. So the Sync Flicks is right here. We'll figure out which one do you think we're gonna watch.
I don't know.
All right, we'll have to figure that out.
Further discussion, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. Well, it'll be important. And then Mr. Douglas, the beautiful, the illustrious.
Always a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Yes, MrDouglas.com, MISD3 DOUGLAS. Awesome that you made it, man. Congrats on your journey, and it's a pleasure that we get to get together. Yeah.
I appreciate that you guys are patient. I was like, I don't know, man. I might screw this up. And you're like, you know what? We'll make it work. So thank you. And this has been a great episode. I'm super stoked on it. I love all the things we covered. I love that AnOmaly was here. We'll have to do more of this stuff. But guys, I still think you might not have heard all of the Ingo Swann stuff that Mr. Douglas has done. And if you haven't, I can tell. I can tell right away. So you should probably get this homework assignment done and make sure you've listened to Ingo Swann's Secrets of Power Volume 1, Chapters 12 and 13. As long as you've gotten through the beginning chapters as well. But they're all kind of interesting.
With power, listen to it. I'll let you get a nap. It'll be cool. It'll be all right. I'll put you right to sleep. Get to know power. It'll be fun.
It's a fact. You can relax and you can drive and you can do whatever you want while you can cook a piece of cornbread while listening to Mr. Douglas speak. It's just anything can happen while Mr. Douglas is speaking. It's really good. VBDC Linktree. I mean, you guys know we're going to the music video right now, but also go to the Linktree.
Yeah, forget about the rest of my Linktree for tonight. I just want everyone to pre-order my Christmas song. So psyched to have it finally after a whole life of wanting to
I'm getting it. As soon as we get off, I'm getting it. Don't worry.
And,
Dude,
yeah,
iTunes it up, guys.
Screw the rest of my Linktree for tonight. Yeah,
Just for one night, you know what? And then there's another guy here, always record, with this beautiful modular synth gestalt. I didn't even say logo. And so if you're a fan, if you're like a super fan and you love the stuff we're doing, secret, go look at some of these always record episodes because they're gonna blow your mind. It's deep unravelings on things that happened a while ago that you still can't talk about on YouTube for the most part.
Look at the more recent ones first. I don't agree with half the shit I hear myself say in podcasts of old.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest, dude. I'm cringing.
That's probably a
myself
good
out.
thing. That's probably a good thing. You're growing, you're learning, you're expanding. It's a good thing.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm
It's
dying.
just a disclaimer.
Becoming brittle.
All right, guys. I think out of my personal interest of going to watch this Venice Beach Dub Club music video, I think it's time that we say goodnight. But Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next week, and then I'll see what we can do tomorrow. I think we're gonna do some MK Ultra anyway.
Thank you,
So,
guys. See you guys over on my YouTube page in 5 minutes.
dude. God bless you all. Take care. Good night.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas, Harry.
Happy Christmas.